What's up, everyone? Beautiful day out today. Going out of Dania Beach with the buddy. Supposedly the current was ripping yesterday, but there's been some tuna around. We'll see if there's still some big kings around. Hopefully we can avoid the sailfish, but we'll see. Got a well full of gogs. Had to leave that gog bite early. Really wanted to stay, but you know, sometimes you gotta make sacrifices. But I'll hit you all up if we get into anything. Stay tuned. So started out jigging, and while I was fighting a blue runner, big old school of dolphin came through. And first pass, there was about 100 fish or so, and maybe about 10 of them were chupers. The rest were all smalls. So quickly took what I had, which was my sabiki rod, cut off all the feathers that I use for gog fishing, and I always keep a crappie jig at the bottom. So I was tossing that out and catching little peanuts here and there, seeing if I could weed through them just to find a few keepers. But after a while, they kind of disappeared for a little bit, and I knew they were still in the area because I'd see one or two swim by every so often, but they just weren't coming for the crappie jig anymore. So I tried for, I'd say, about a minute or so, because usually when a school comes up to you on the kayak, they'll do one, maybe two passes around you, but after a minute or two, if you don't have anything to give them, they just leave. But for some odd reason, the school was sticking around for a little bit, even though I wasn't keeping any of them hostage in the water, or even just throwing out chunks. But tied on a popper, and it didn't take long before the school ended up finding me again. And they're not the biggest fish, but it seems like it's a slow morning today, so just bending a rod, having fun with these little fish. That's what it's about. I know them boys up in the panhandle would go crazy over a little dolphin like this, because up there you can keep them this size, but over here we like to let them grow up a little bit. And I always keep 2 poppers in my kayak. They've probably been in there for 30 to 40 trips. And this was the first time I've used them probably in 2 years, I'd say. But it pays off to have them when you actually need them. And at this point, I caught a few. I'm just kind of playing with them, just having them hit the popper. If you look closely, you can tell kind of which casts I got 1 or 2 hits on, and which ones I didn't. And keeping the school around me, it's giving me a chance at maybe attracting something a little bit bigger. Maybe a bigger dolphin might come by and check out all the commotion, or maybe, you know, the stars align, a marlin. Because I do have a gog down deep and a gog on the flatline, and both of them were pretty big. So in the back of my mind, that's what I was thinking of.
That's a keeper.
And looking back at the footage, this one was definitely
That's a keeper.
21, 22 inches to the fork.
Maybe.
So it was definitely something I could have gaffed if I wanted to.
Maybe it's a keeper.
But, you know, if I have to measure a fish, do I really want to keep it? Especially a dolphin, which 21, 22 inch fish barely get any meat off of it. So looking back, I'm kind of glad this played out the way it did. But at the time, I wasn't 100% sure if it was a keeper or not, so I didn't want to gaff it. But don't have a net, so the only other option is grabbing it by the tail. And as you can see, he did not like that at all. And he's also barely hooked, so I can't even flip him into the kayak without him coming off. So at this point I'm thinking, man, I'm messing with this dolphin for way too long. I haven't seen any schoolies swim by in a hot minute at this point. So I'm trying to rush this thing at this point, and maybe it caused me to have a lapse in judgment. So it's crazy how this jumped wrapped up in my old sabiki line, and ended up just shaking the hook. But like I said, in hindsight, I'm glad it came off. But in the moment, I was kind of heated because I was like, damn, that was my one keeper. So after a while, I was just blind casting the popper again, trying to find them. And it took a while before I finally got another bite, but it seemed like they were just hanging around my kayak, thinking it's a piece of debris. But after this pass, you know, I could see the school around me. I haven't seen any of the bigger fish in a while. So I kind of made the decision after that fish to move on, go jig. And it took a while before I got a bite. But it was a weird fight because I actually paused the jig mid-water. And about 3 seconds into that pause, it got slammed. So I wasn't really sure what this was. Usually, if something hits the jig when it's paused, it's most likely a tuna, but this one wasn't fighting like a tuna, so I was very clueless as to what I hooked. And once I saw color, it was just a small AJ. Nothing special. In fact, I'm glad I was able to throw the hook, so I didn't really have to touch him.
Well, can't always slay it. So, heading in now. Didn't get the big bite. You know, trolled gogs all day, and messed around with the dolphin. Jigged a little bit, just couldn't really find anything. And it seemed like today was a slow day overall for everyone. So, better luck next time. See ya.